Hello everyone. Why am I so cherry, man? This is Tragedy Part 2.
If anyone watched the last episode, they'll know that we've been laughing this whole time. Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
It's slightly worrying. But hello,
oh, she forgot her intro.
Hello.
This is embarrassing.
Hello fans, lovers, casual viewers and newbies to Nollywood. It's Mimi, your host of the Exploring Nollywood podcast, and with me, yeah, you already heard her. It's Toni. She's been very annoying. Last episode, we were talking about tragedy, suffering porn, cry films. You know what? That's the title. Cry
films.
That's it. And we talked about the tropes and the common stories that you would find. It was very sad. Please listen to that. This episode, we want to talk about movies and actors. Actresses, really. And, you know, it's been how many years since her first movie came out, but she still reigns number one. Who is our cry queen? 1, 2, 3, Nkiru Sylvanus.
If that girl does not cry in a film, is she in the film?
No.
If that girl does not suffer in a film, is she in the film?
No.
Yet she was making bank, so she was one of those rich people that don't cry. I love it for her.
Everybody knew. We used to, of course, you must know her most famous film, Cry for Help, Blah Blah.
Blah blah.
Oh my god. There was that scene where she was sleeping outside her auntie's house because the auntie had locked her out.
It's not even that one. That's not the one that gets. I think I mentioned it before. It's the one where so I watched it recently actually.
Why were you just randomly watching Cry for Help?
Because I wanted to see if it was as sad as I remembered. It was. It was, but it's a classic. So
it's a classic for a reason.
I encourage people to go watch it and appreciate the life that you live. She's meant to wash clothes, and the water in their auntie's house is not running. And I think initially the woman didn't even want the girl in the house because she thought her husband was a lout.
Of course.
I don't think he was. I think he was actually a pretty nice guy.
Oh.
But she was a demon sent from the pits of Tartarus, Mary.
Oh, she went Greek.
Tartarus.
She went Greek.
And so she goes somewhere at the end of the street to fetch water. So she's fetching all this water. And then the madam comes back and she's like, oh, why haven't you washed these clothes? She's like, oh, I have to go and fetch water. Slaps the girl. Is it my fault your plumbing is bad?
No.
Slaps her like, oh, where did you go and fetch the water? Witch.
So
and then,
sad.
so she's like, oh, okay, she has been fetching water all this time. She's about to start washing clothes. Then she remembers, oh, I've not eaten, so let me eat small. With food that has been sectioned out for me for the whole day. Like, if you didn't see me eating, would I not have eaten it anyway?
Oh my god, I remember that scene.
And then
it was what, beans porridge?
Yam porridge or beans porridge, something
oh
like
my god,
food. And then pours the food on this poor girl that hasn't eaten all day. And then you now still expect her to wash the clothes. And then on top of that, the clothes that you expected her to wash, plenty of the clothes that you expected her to wash, you stupidly forgot your ring inside the boy's pockets. And she washed the clothes. And then obviously she threw the ring away because it was in the pockets. Carelessly.
No, yes,
and then I beat her on top of the. No,
just beatings. Oh my god, when I was suffering through beatings in boarding school, of course, our senior madam, Hilda Tokumbo. Oh, there was this film where she was being cast out of her husband's house. By probably patience is okay. It probably wasn't, but the probability is 50-50. And she just turned back to look at the house that she was being cast from, and
one single tear
just came down her eyes. Oh my god, that woman
it was deliciously dramatic.
Perfect. Oh god.
Do you know there's actually a film that has both of them in it?
No, that's just not fair.
Dokubo and Nkiru Sylvanus, where they're a widowed mother,
of course,
and her daughter that gets out of the house that they're living in because they falsely accuse her of killing her husband because that is what people like to do. Why would I kill my husband when I'm in his house?
I don't know. Another trope is widowhood. No, when your husband has died, but
he has died of natural causes.
He's died of natural causes.
It's not somebody that has killed him. Not often.
Not often. Or it was an accident. Or something non-traceable. Or maybe the guy just had a sickness that nobody could diagnose. Or he could have just had a stroke.
Either that, or how dare you be richer than your older/younger/ older/younger brother /uncle/twice.
He's a victim of his own success. But then another suffering story is the plight of a widow. Remember when they shaved their heads? They
Oh,
make them
I remember that film.
my
Was
God.
it
Stella Damascus?
Yes.
Stella Damascus, yes. But Mercy Johnson also acted that one. Rachel Okuko acted that. There's so many actors. Queen Wakoye, there's so many actors that are so many films of widowhood and just the pure suffering. And then what happens at the end of the film? She's never vindicated.
No, she just
escapes them
somewhere else, meets someone else, or goes somewhere else.
She just escapes them.
Yeah,
and that is the happy ending. She escapes them because no one will ever believe. And again, another thing that really happens in real life. You're going to say because. Why? If I'm living in my husband's house, enjoying all his money, knowing that he has voracious brothers, sisters, uncles, etc.
Why would I kill him?
What? How does it benefit me when I can kill you?
I don't know if it's still it probably is, because people, not even just Nigerians, people in general are trash, and the way they think, the way they approach tradition is just refusal to get with the times. Of if your husband dies, natural causes or not, whether they blame you or not, there's still things that you have to go through.
Yes. Where
they'll shave your head, you have to wear this, you have to sleep with the dead body, they'll wash the dead body, you have to drink the water. What happened?
And why? That's not even specific to Nigeria as well. It happens in a lot of other African countries. No, I don't know why. I just think it's just hatred of women.
I think so. But then the thing that pisses me off the most is that you never see men forcing these women to do it.
No, it's other women.
It's always other women.
Because they say, I went through it, so you have to. It's just vindictiveness and just evil and real. The sad thing, as I keep saying about these tragedy stories, is that they're happen. They're real. They're real. You know someone who's been through something like that. You know someone, or you heard of someone, or you yourself has personally passed through it.
Or you know the culture.
And it's just infuriating. And sometimes I feel like some of these films, because they have a happy ending, we're not angry enough about the sad things. Because we are saying, everyone is thinking, oh, there'll be a happy ending in the end, because that's what I've grown up. That's what the film says. So if I just endure it, something good will happen. If I just endure it, something good will happen. Maybe that's why we're still stuck with the kind of leaders that we have in Nigeria, because we're all thinking, if I just endure it, if I just endure it, if I just endure it. I'm just saying.
So like we mentioned before, it's a film with both Hilda Dokubo and Nkiru Sylvanus, where she's a widow and she is falsely accused of, I think, either killing her husband or doing something, because that's always what freaking happens. And so it's called Evil Forest. So they are, as punishment for their crimes, they are thrown into the Evil Forest.
Oh my God.
Because we do love an Evil Forest.
We do love an Evil Forest. Yes, we do.
And they suffer. I'm just like, I don't think I've watched the film, but I've seen clips of it, and you can see like the film, the suffering just gets progressively worse.
It's too much suffering. Oh
and
yes,
that's like blackening their skin, because like you can't be light skinned and suffering.
Of course not.
We can't have that.
And then we have Rita Edochie. She can't cry. No, she can lament. If Hilda Tokumbo is more of the silent crying, hers is very loud, but you still feel it too. Of course, then we have Mercy Johnson.
I think Mercy Johnson is just a good actress. Because she's so good, she hasn't necessarily been typecast as a crier. But
queen.
If you need her to do it, she's gonna
turn it out. No, Mercy Johnson crying is so sad. Oh my God. Now, would you say there are any cry kings?
No.
Yul Edochie. Back when he was in the Good Graces, Yul Edochie could cry.
But he was usually always crying in a romance film, not necessarily.
No, sometimes he was in a tragedy film. He's very good at crying. Then we have
Williams Chamber did cry a lot in that one film that he was in.
No. Williams Chamber did suffer, but that was when he was young.
Yes.
When he was a child actor, he was the go-to guy for crying.
But then that's because he could act.
I mean, yes. So would you say that crying is just a good acting skills, or do you think that there are some people that?
No, I think there's people that. Okay, I think we'll go into like good acting and typecasting.
Okay.
So someone like Mercy Johnson is a good actress. Someone like Nkiru Sylvanus has been typecast as a crier.
Yeah, that's true.
So
or the good girl in Aaron's Girl Show.
Nkiru Sylvanus?
Yes. Girls, let's go to church. Why are you acting like this?
That kind of person can receive slap, I won't lie. I think it's a toss up between, are you, like you say, are you a good actress, are you being typecast? So people can be good actresses, and so being a good actress does
make you a good. But people like Hilda Tokumbo and Nkiru Sylvanus, they have naturally sad faces.
Yes, they do. Marianne does as well. Sorry, that seemed personal. But she does.
But again, they have really sad faces, and so it doesn't take much for just
for them to emote.
And then the tears, no, but then they must be tear factory. Because in that one Cry for Help film, Nkiru Sylvanus cried like 5 different times for over 10 minutes. People will be surprised to hear this, but Mama G, Patience Uzokwo, if she's crying in a film, oh my God.
If she's sad in a film, you feel it more because they're like, this is not you.
This is not
who did this to you.
Just this girl and let her move on with her life.
Who did you allow to do this to you?
There was this film she acted where she was barren, of course. And her husband was considering taking a second wife, was being pressured to take a second wife, and she was obviously in emotional pain. She was emotionally disturbed. And then there's this other film she acted, Hour of Grace, where she went to go. This is actually a very old film, beautiful. Like if you see the fashions, you'd be like, damn. They really wore that, huh? And I say they, because I'm not part of that. So sometimes when I see like early 10s fashion, I'm like, wow, we really wore
that. I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not move into that.
That's a tragedy in itself.
But yes, Hour of Grace, that was a really good film where Liz Benson takes Liz Benson's her friend, and she takes.
As if she has never watched a Liz Benson film.
And then she brings her in as a second wife to bear children for her. And of course, Liz Benson does as Liz Benson does. Although Liz Benson, again, another good cry queen.
I think she was, is it Sympathy that she was in?
Yes, Sympathy. Yeah. She was very good in that. Oh, when she was crying for a child. And when Nkiru Sylvanus, oddly enough, not being, well, she also went through some sad things in that film too. But when she was being tormented by the Ogbanjes, oh, she went through a lot. Ooh, this person is a good cry queen. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to make you react very strongly. Cry queen, Regina Daniels. I think she's very, very good. If we want to talk about one of the notable new Nollywood actresses that can cry a lot and can cry well, Regina Daniels.
I mean, I feel like I have to sort of kind of, you know, with a gun to my head, give Regina Daniels her props because she's working. She's working hard and she's working well, and I guess she can act. That's all I'm going to say on the matter.
Praise. But yes, I would definitely give Regina Daniels her flowers when it comes to crying, man, because Jesus, she can cry. Okay, let's move into movies. We've already mentioned some, but come, walk on this journey with us of sad films. Number 1, Cry for Help.
Of course.
Nkiru Sylvanus.
It's right there in the name.
Cry for Help.
She be crying.
We have Widow, Star Damascus, which is the defining genre.
I think that's the one where I think that's the first time I saw the whole tradition of you having to.
And then everyone was shocked. She shaved her head. It was such a shock then because she was the first person to do it, and then it really brought to, I guess, the national attention the whole issue of what happens when you get widowed and what you go on with. Like, I don't know. I'm not married, but I think my husband would want me to keep my hair.
Do you know what I would think?
What?
I would think my husband wouldn't want me to go through all that. I don't know why it's the hair thing that you were stuck on. There were also other traumatic things that occurred.
I mean, yes, that's true. And then, of course, Blood Sisters, Genevieve Naji versus Omotola. I mean, I'm sure they went head to head in so many other films. Beyonce, Ariana, anyone?
They were not in those films.
Genevieve, oh, she was so wicked in that film. God, she was
like you won.
She was true. Those children. But Blood Sisters definitely will make blood. We make tears come from a stone. We have Tears in Heaven. Can you remember Tears in Heaven? She's in heaven. What? With the 4 girls? Well, maybe you might have been too young because it came out when I was in primary school. About the 4 girls, or maybe they were 5, and then one of their sister dies, and then they go through trials and tribulations. You know what? That's another good name for this episode, trials and tribulations. Because and then they were a singing group, and then in the end they won a competition singing, and then they dedicated it to their sister. Yeah, it sounds familiar, right?
I think so.
Oh, I cried so hard.
I think so.
Violated. We were talking about sexual assault.
Yes, I do remember this film.
Yes. Thank goodness for you. There were lots of tears too.
I'm gonna have to use YouTube this later on.
Then there's Chain Reaction. I remember watching that, but I don't remember. It's defining in the genre. Then we have. Can you remember? We were talking about Annabelle. Annabelle, be strong.
Now you're gonna make it somehow. It won't be easy. Who
was the big lead
You
in that?
have no parents or something, but you have a heart of gold. Annabelle.
Nollywood Films though, and their sound.
Do you know what? That was a great film. I've also watched that recently. I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh,
It had Patience Ozoko in it as not a bad character. She does die though.
Oh,
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for like a 20-year-old film. Then we have Guardian Angel. Can you remember Guardian Angel? With Little Angel, where the girl's mom dies, and then the girl's mom is always there. EML. I don't even know if that's the song. Well, I don't know if I'm singing correctly. In this life, you reap what you sow. Yes, it was so sad.
I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it. Have Hatred. Can you remember Hatred? With Liz Benson? Was it Liz Benson?
I think Hatred is the one with the...
Where she's mistreating her grandmother.
No. It's Sandra Chums.
Oh, Sandra Chums. I wonder where Sandra Chums is.
Living her life.
She was such a bad girl.
She was a bad girl. Bad girl. Anyway.
Did we mention her in the last episode?
Probably.
We should have, because she needs to get her flowers too. But where her grandmother asked her for food, and she threw the food out and served her grandmother the food.
No.
Heartbreaking. That. Oh my God.
Is that not Patience?
No. She was older. And then in the end, the old woman cast the curse on her. She will never have children. Barrenness, because that's apparently the worst thing you can do to a woman.
It depends on her husband.
And she couldn't have children, and then she came and she had to go and apologize to the woman, and I felt like it wasn't enough. A simple sorry, and the woman made her eat pawpaw that she had already eaten, but no, that wasn't enough.
I think I remember that.
She chewed palm kernel and gave it to that woman to eat. Whoo! I think another thing about these tragedy movies is that you also you get emotional. You're not only sad, but you're also enraged by the wickedness. Oh, how can this person be so wicked? Oh, this person is evil. Oh, so all your emotions are heightened, and then of course, it's a super story.
Life of sorrow, where the fish drown,
or even dies of death.
It's a super story. It's a super story.
Now, a super story was really just tragedy. We were tuning in every week or every day, how many times a week, just to watch somebody suffer. Let's be honest.
Do you know this? Who is it? The Reverend sisters used to lock their door at a certain time.
Oh yes,
to watch Super Story.
Yes, I remember one because my name is Alero. So I remember the people remember the Alero Super Story because she suffered the wickedness of men.
Truly,
we are nothing but persons in the hands of our Creator. Oh my God!
No, but then I think I just listening to it. So we come on to like the power of sound in these films in a minute. The minute you hear that, it's a super story. Your heart is already beating. Like, what's about to occur?
And then maybe if last episode it ended in a happy spot,
that's not gonna last.
That's not gonna last.
Listen to the title sequence. It's not gonna last.
Pride bombs.
Sad. Movies are like, movie and then it finishes.
Not super.
But this was a series.
It was actually our version of a telenovela. With a lot more crying and suffering.
A lot more crying and
Which is strange because telenovelas are literally suffering.
I love it for us, really.
For us. Died wretched. Oh, Jesus. Hour of Grace, Chain Reactions, and obviously, just if you want to enjoy a good cry, just type in
sad Nollywood.
Sad Nollywood movies.
YouTube, Google, and something will come up.
And just have your choice. Go for the older ones. Well, now that you mention it, let's talk about music, because obviously, when it comes to scoring, the score of a film, the score of a Nollywood movie, please, I will put in that two piano. And then that
the synth. No, we absolutely abuse synth and synth piano in.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Auntie, what they were recording?
Are you going?
No, she stayed the night. Oh. What she said? Downstairs.
With the mattress.
No, with this thing, inflatable.
Oh, okay.
Because where?
All you needed to create a good soundtrack, to create a soundtrack.
It was just
for a Nollywood movie is a keyboard.
Casio keyboard.
A keyboard, that's all you
It's
need.
the cheapest one you have. Oh man, they gave us some scores. But then it was really the soundtracks that got us. Look at us singing EML or Annabelle or what other one have we been singing?
There was that one that we actually could not remember.
You and I will leave.
No, it's not that one. Well, I think she was blind, and this is the song that they used to sing. It was said to be,
of course.
Oh,
may he rest in peace.
He's dead.
Yes.
When?
Recently, maybe this year or late last year.
That upsets me. Saint to be and might have been Star Damascus.
Where she was blind.
Yes.
And
so there was a song.
It wasn't Bobby Manuel?
Maybe.
You know what? At that point, they were making
they were all
10
in
movies a week.
Yeah, there was a film though with both Saint to be and Bobby Manuel, but that's something that's when the going gets tough. That was a great film. I love that film. Where it's like a song they used to sing together, and then he goes away or something happens, and then she suffers, and then all of a sudden he comes back, and the way that she recognizes, the way that she recognizes him.
If Naya more, no,
love more. If Naya,
oh no! Yes. Love more. I really should have. I have a cold and I'm trying to sing. I apologize greatly to all the listeners.
Yes, because there's a huge difference between the two.
Anyway, yes. So they really used to use music.
They use music a lot
to manipulate our emotions. Is Genevieve suffering? Is it crying? Then you have the music going. And you're vibing to the song,
and usually
it's also making you cry.
It underscores them in their mournful moments.
Yes. So that's forever.
So it's not just silent. Like, why are you just silent?
Of course, because if it's silent, it'd be very weird.
Very odd. And then there's this
for one... a Nollywood movie. I'm sure a Hollywood experimental film will have just someone just full on grieving and then silence.
No one has time for that. And then in Cry for Help, she had her specific song that she used to sing.
A leitmotif. Okay, sorry, is that too advanced for you? All right, continue.
Okay, what does it mean, Marianne? You've said it now.
It means a particular character's signature song or sound. Yes.
If you could see her face, you'd want to slap her too.
I didn't film theory. Anyway, yes, so a particular song that you associate with that character, basically.
Yeah, so she's repeatedly sings that song. So every time something bad really happens to her, oh, she's at her parents' grave song. Yes. Oh, they've just slapped her song. Oh, they just poured food on her head song.
Oh, they didn't allow her eat that yam porridge. I'm so sorry, but that thing had a visceral... You know what? No, I won't talk about this because that's going to depress everybody. But just know that this is linked to the particular memory of mine. So, but them throwing that beans at her really stuck with me and got me through some hard times.
Oh, Lord Jesus. So discuss with us, what is the soundtrack to your sorrow? Definitely is like really weird. Even that You and I really like the minute I hear
it's low-key triggering. all these songs, all the old Nollywood songs are triggering.
They are because I think because they're the way for me anyway, the way old Nollywood works is you were so young, and if these are things that you remember, then it makes you realize just how big of an impact these films had on you.
Yes.
So they did them well. Old Nollywood did its thing.
Old Nollywood did tragedy.
It did its thing.
But as we said, we're not using it in the Hollywood version where everything ends. No. Ends sadly. No. It ends happily. It ends happily. Sometimes the song is remixed into a more uplifting version of the same song. Sometimes. I don't know. Tell us the sad songs that you remember.
Yeah, soundtrack to your sadness.
The soundtrack to your sadness.
Soundtrack to your no. Soundtrack to your sorrow. I like that. So I'm going to trademark that.
The soundtrack to your sorrows from Nollywood movies. Now, let's move on to new Nollywood. Mm-hmm. I mentioned Regina Daniels, who is firmly new Nollywood. Yes. What do you think about the way new Nollywood does tragedies? Do we do tragedy?
I haven't watched a lot of tragedies because I think because new Nollywood, the way it works now is but what I see a lot is the glitz and the glamour and the high society kind of people. You don't necessarily see all that much
of the tragedy.
So I think you might see suffering of people that are maybe looking at that life and they're emulating it, but they don't suffer in the same way.
I think my theory is because now we don't have 350 minutes for a film. We have to now condense it. We now have to condense the crying and the sadness because we have other things to be going on. Where previously in old Nollywood, you have this one, the studio or cassette one, or just so long. You have time. You can really linger on the sadness. You can really, what's that word? Languish in sorrow. You can really let the sorrow enter your body. But a new Nollywood movie now has 2 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes to get to the story. So you have to hit story beat. There's no chance.
And then there's the resolution, so you don't sit in the sadness for as long.
So I think nowadays when they're telling a story, they have a point. It's not just sadness. It's just not
sadness and suffering.
Let's make this person cry. So, for example, look at Black Book where they killed Aramdi's son. It was very sad, but we didn't have time to sit in that sadness, If this was an old Nollywood film and they had killed his son,
they would have done that at the start of the film.
Yeah.
And there would have been no resolution till the third film.
Yes. And there would have been, Aramdi would have cried. Oh, Aramdi was also good at crying. He used to do the silent tears. Very good. Oh, just like little silent tears. Just... Yes, especially in that movie Private Sin. I love that movie where he finds out he's in love with his father's wife. Oh, that was delicious angst. Yeah, it turned out the father married him for her or her for him. It was contrived anyway, but happy ending. So I think in new Nollywood, because everything is purpose driven now, we no longer have those sad things. There's no time to sit in the sadness for it to really, and besides, what are they gaining from it?
No, but then I would argue, well, I guess maybe they just don't know how to do it yet, because Hollywood does tragedy in that time, within those time constraints.
Yes.
But I think maybe it's because we're just not used to seeing Nollywood do sad films, or Nollywood isn't used to doing sad films in that time.
No, but I think in Hollywood they allow for sad endings or bittersweet endings.
Yeah.
No Nollywood film is gonna have a bittersweet ending. Otherwise, they will stone you and insult you and drag you everywhere. It must have a happy resolution, except you really want to be experimental. But then, no film I have seen has had a bad ending. Except maybe Olature. You've not watched Olature? Oh my sweet baby Jesus. Why? Every time I ask myself, why am I doing this podcast with you?
Because I'm the only person that you got.
Yes. Thank you. Anyway, so in Olature, I think that was a bittersweet ending, but it doesn't just have the same sadness. The same... It doesn't make as much as an impact.
But then would you want to see that in Nollywood? That the
That's-
Hollywood
I think-
style of tragedy in Nollywood.
No, because everybody is sad and angry in the country. Why would you end your film like that?
Yeah, okay, but then why would I want to see someone that is like enjoying life and living lavish when I don't have that life?
I don't know. Ask me Nollywood.
Oh. I didn't even mean to do that like that, but
that's what I think. That's the I think we've come into what is actually the disconnect between why people don't feel new Nollywood and old Nollywood, because it's not really reflecting what people are going through. I mean, some of it is, there are some very good films and they are telling some very new stories and they are interpreting some very new tragedies. For example, talking about things like sexual assault. Yeah. And but they don't really let you sit in it. You know, things don't go from bad to worse, from bad to worse, from bad to worse. To
good. Sorry, diabolical now.
So I think that apart from maybe the YouTube movies are still doing it because
they have 7 parts.
Yes, they have the time to do it. So maybe time is what makes things sad. They have the time to cry. And so if you are craving a sad movie with new Nollywood visuals, as we said, just type sad Nollywood films on YouTube.
But I would say if you want to experience what we experience,
the nostalgia,
the
sadness,
cry for help, watch it.
Annabelle, Blood Sisters.
Blood Sisters. I'm actually going to go when I have time in the next few. I know I'm off work. Ooh, I'm off work all next week. This is what I'm going to be doing.
Guardian Angel. Oof.
I'm going to watch Sympathy again. Like, this is times where...
And then, of course, the Autonomous Widow. But
I'm not watching that one.
I do think that now, for example, there's this there are advocacy films as well. Mm-hmm. And I think New Nollywood does advocacy films really well. And I think that's the closest that we're going to get from New Nollywood in terms of tragedy films. Well, I won't say that was a sad episode.
I don't think it was. I think it was a very nostalgic episode.
Yes, I think we laughed. We definitely laughed at inappropriate areas.
I don't. Yeah,
we did. We definitely laughed inappropriately.
But I think it's more the remembering, and it's more the
just that
camaraderie, I guess, of the podcast that's making us laugh. But actually, if you're sitting down and you're watching these films
and you're actually thinking about it deeply,
you're not gonna be laughing.
Funny, man.
There's nothing funny about it.
There's so much crying. They're not comedy at all. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Exploring Nollywood podcast. Follow us on Facebook at the Exploring Nollywood podcast. Follow us on Instagram at the Exploring Nollywood podcast. And
also add us on Spotify.
Yes.
Subscribe to Spotify. That's the one.
Yes. Thank you. Do that for us, please.
And then if you come across the videos or snippets or whatever on Instagram or Facebook, share it with
Let's
your
get
people.
More people.
Let's get people in on the conversation. Let's have more conversations on the posts and things like that. We do want to hear from you guys. So.
Yes. So thank you, and see you the next episode where I'll be interviewing a very distinguished guest.
It's me.
No, it's not you.
Oh.